Hey everyone, it's Andre Luck here to share my video for this week where I'm going to continue my series about building a modern ticket sales team from scratch. And I'm going to talk through and get in the nitty gritty of like the tools, the tech stack, the enablement piece, and get really technical and talk about the tools that I use. If I were running and starting a ticket sales team, what are the tools that, if cost wasn't an issue, but being responsible, what are the tools that I would use, and like get very tactical on how I use them and how I would use them. So we've talked about kicking off with executive alignment, so making sure we're on page with the executive team and everything that needs to go into making sure that we're all on the same page. We talked about building out your go-to-market strategy and like segmenting the market and knowing who you're going after. The last few videos we talked about what the team looks like, how you compensate them, and like how do you make sure that you're building the right culture and filling out the org chart. Now it's, how do we make sure that they're operating efficiently? How are we training and enable them to make sure that they can go out and do their job and sell, and leaders can just go lead, and some of the tools in the background that kind of help optimize that. And when you look at, we're in mid 2025, second half of 2025, going into 26, there's a big update that needs to happen across sports because we're still using old tools, or the ones we do have we're not fully maximizing. We have all these different point solutions, and maybe we need to consolidate or get rid of some. So I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to talk through it. So I've said this before, the most important tool I think in any sales tech stack is your CRM. And not just to track leads and keep up with people and make sure no one steals your sales. Like, that's a part of it, but you can make smart business decisions. And what I see a lot with sales teams, they'll go get Salesforce, or a lot of them, because they're Microsoft teams, they have Microsoft Dynamics, and they don't utilize nearly half of the capabilities to it. And they have junior employees who are running these CRM systems. They continue to turn over, so there's no consistency. When I was VP of sales, we had like 3 or 4 different CRM people, and they were all great to work with, all very talented people, but it's tough to like establish processes and systems and that consistency and continuity with your sales team. So you want to make sure that you have senior level people, make sure that there's buy-in at the executive level to give the resources to these support functions, to these enablement functions that are going to be operating these tools and these systems. So you got to take the time to get your CRM system right and lay the foundation. So there's a few clients I'm working with right now where that's like really the focus. We're implementing new CRMs and ERP systems, and want to make sure that we lay a solid foundation to build off of, so that we're making smart business decisions based on the data. And it's not too much of a mess when we go in there and try and clean it up. But like, if you establish processes from the get-go, you have clear guidelines on how to operate and how to use it, it's going to be that much better as you bring on new people and as you continue to grow and evolve and develop as a sales team and as a sales unit. So getting the right people, getting the right resources to do it right, making sure it's something that can integrate within your ticketing system too. So you don't have to go get the most expensive CRM tool. Like, get the ones that you need, because there's so many fields in there that we never use. There's so many things outside the box that maybe don't make sense for what we do in sports. So, or maybe there's an opportunity to create one that's maybe more sports focused, or build a CRM system. And with AI and tech now and how quickly you can build tech products, maybe that's an opportunity for somebody. Maybe I'll look at it. But those are things that are going to be important, because you want that data to sync. You want your customer data of the interactions you're having, the opportunities you're creating, to tie back to what is that actually leading to from a revenue standpoint. One, I think it could be an opportunity in the future too. A lot of times you'll sync your ticketing system to the CRM data, or could you tie in merchandise? Could you tie in other retail, F&B, things like that, and all their spend, so you can unite that all together? And it may not live in the CRM system, it may live in a different data warehouse type tool, but making sure that you have all that data tied together so that you can prioritize and score your leads. You know what your customers are doing. You're finding ways that you can maximize revenue and see, all right, they're spending a lot in this area, but maybe not here. Or this is, the type of games I get to come out to. How do we serve them with the best content and the best offer that's going to help them purchase more quickly, not just whatever the sales rep is trying to sell at that time in that period. One thing that I beat the drum about for a very long time, unfortunately was never able to get across the finish line, was a automated real-time lead scoring system. I was always on the to-do list, and hopefully they've delivered that now. But that's something that you have reps reaching out to leads. We want to score them based on how frequently they buy tickets, how much they spend, how recent since their last purchase. It's a couple key factors that play into like your lead score. But if it's all manual and maybe you do it quarterly, you're not getting real-time data. And maybe it wouldn't make too much of a difference, but it would be nice if you could, in real time, as transactions are happening, that calculates into the algorithm, and you almost have like this leaderboard of like, this is the top lead to go after for this product. And in real time, that's always updating and automating. So when reps need new leads, you're getting the most refreshed, most likely to purchase based on recent behavior that's always updating and automating in real time. So that's something that, whether it's in your CRM or it lives outside of your CRM, that I think you should look at. And I'd be a big advocate for, and if I was starting a team, would want to make sure that's something we build out so that the reps are always getting the best leads at the best time with the best, most up-to-date data. Also, you want to make sure that there's dashboards and reporting that can come out of the CRM. It may be a different system that's building these dashboards and that automated reports are coming from, or it lives directly in the CRM and you just guide people to it. But you want it to be easy. There was one year where each of my managers and directors had like 3 or 4 different reports that they were getting. So our analytics people had to build out all these different dashboards, and they check it periodically. So it's like, we need to streamline these requests. Make sure, starting with you as the head of sales or whoever's running the sales team, and working with whoever's head of like revenue operations or analytics and strategy and things like that. Make sure that there's a process to this, and we're talking about with each other like, what reports do you want? So because some of them probably could have just lived in one big report instead of these like all these cut up slices and dices of the data. Like, what's the most important KPI? What's the most important metric that you're looking for, or few? Let's build a few reports off that everybody sees, everybody's looking at. We're all looking at the same data, the same reports. And if maybe there's the potential for you to drill down deeper into it on your own if you want to, but to have people build out these reports you're going to check on, every couple months or quarterly, that's not worth the time. That's not worth the energy. And you shouldn't have all of your leaders looking at different types of reports and looking at different types of data. So you want to make sure that you have that's all kind of synchronized together and you're all on the same page of what that looks like. So yeah, only get the CRM system that's right for you. A lot of sports teams don't need a robust CRM system like a Salesforce, like these enterprise companies do. You could get by. I know some teams use like a Pipedrive, some use HubSpot, like whatever makes the most sense for you, just to kind of get up to speed. And you can always upgrade as you develop, but I think the biggest thing is making sure that you only use the features that you need. You're not paying for things just to have this like legacy CRM platform that isn't actually a good fit for what you do day to day, and everything like that. Obviously, a ticket sales department, you need a robust ticketing system. There's the main players out there. There's a lot of new ticketing vendors coming in, and that's something I'm going to do a lot more research on, because there's some projects I'm working on that involve ticketing specifically, and like, how do you streamline that? So, finding the right ticketing system provider. So obviously you got Ticketmaster. In baseball, a lot of teams use tickets.com. You got SeatGeek and a few others that are coming into the mix. So I think the biggest key piece on that is choose the one that's right for you. What makes the most sense for you from a business standpoint? What are the capabilities? And analyzing that and working across finance, working across your analytics team, working across obviously ticket operations, and making that decision as a joint effort. But having somebody who's tech savvy, having someone who's forward thinking, someone who's looking at, the digital aspect of it. Like, the big goal and why a lot of teams are moving to like digital ticketing is just more data for you, and identifying like paper tickets. You wouldn't know, like if I bought a group or if I bought season tickets and I manually handed those out to my clients or prospects or my friends, the team has no clue of all those, for 81 games, all those other people that use tickets. But now with digital ticketing, you can track that, you can measure that, you can remarket and retarget those people. So that's a big piece of making sure someone understands that. They're proactive, they're forward thinking of, oh, sales is running this campaign, let me get out in front of this, and being a partner to the sales team, not reactively waiting for sales leaders or sales reps to come to them, but like, although they're not maybe actively selling, they're thinking about, how do I help generate more revenue? What can I do to get out in front of that's going to speed up the sales time or make it more efficient or make less clicks or whatever it may be in the system, but then also capture more data and make it easier for the customer and for the rep, who's kind of your customer internally, to use the system, to use the platform, make sure that they're trained and everything like that. So that's the piece from a ticketing standpoint.